Welcome to Environmental Coffee House after all this time. How are you?
Sandy.
Yes.
I'm good. Thank you for having me on the show.
All right. Why don't you start with telling us about yourself and how this started, why you wanted to come on, what you want to communicate, and all about the message.
So how it started is a long kind of process because it's my life. It started by my science education, and I was trained to be a part of this society, this technological civilization.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, you realize, some people just realize that some things are not going as we wished, and there are things that are we want to fix, we want to improve. And I always questioned, like, we are going down, like we are in the midst of mass extinction, and I was saying, are really humans so bad? Do they have such bad intentions? Are they evil that they are causing this kind of outcome? Like, because up to now, it is all bad intentions. That if we wanted to do better, we would do better. Why not? And but when I started my PhD, I was still naive person, like a naive scientist. So I believed in improving things by using science and technology. But something along the way during my PhD changed, that I started learning more and more, I faced, I couldn't find any way out, and that led me to think in different ways. That I questioned, like, if is it possible to find even the solutions that we are facing are so complex. But in my studies, the problems were much simpler. I have I had a PhD on environmental engineering about finding chemical alternatives to problematic chemicals in products. Let's say carcinogenic chemicals or other,
Okay.
they might have different problems. So when I did that, I realized that even if we can't find good enough, let's say, chemical alternatives to the existing chemicals,
Mm-hmm.
what about finding the, um, an alternative? So this whole civilization thing, technological civilization thing, energy, greed, and all the other stuff that we are facing, that we need to find alternatives to. And that was a start. That's of my hopelessness, kind of. But like I gave up the belief that there is there will be a solution brought by humanity. But on the other hand, I found other things that actually matter. I just realized, I met like Zen philosophy. It's like correct answer.
Yeah.
And there were no, you couldn't say I don't know, because we have been trained to say I know.
I know.
And I just realized that the whole thing is, I think that's why I think technology is religion. It is or science, applied science is religion, because
Profound.
because of what you believe in. But many people differentiate between science and religion. They say this is technology, science, this is what it is, this is truth, and religion is just dreams and just imagination. It's nothing to do with reality. But that's not my. I now know how it feels to belong in a cult, because I have never been raised as a religious person, and I always told myself, I wonder how it feels to be a religious person. You know, how it feels to be faced with reality, and all your reality just shatters. Like everything is a lie. How it feels? How is that feeling? And I live that with technology. And I always say this when I start talking in my lectures. I have a YouTube channel, kind of with my name,
Yep.
and I have tried many mediums. I have tried making documentaries to inform people on this. I have tried lectures, all kinds of. And when I do lectures, I start with saying this is a very difficult topic to communicate with the general public, because it is so opposite
Mm-hmm.
to the beliefs to the religion of the rest of the world, and it is so difficult to explain them. Kind of, if they're not open, really open, it is so difficult to communicate the message if they're not willing to listen really what I'm trying to say.
What is your experience in the classroom with that communication, and how is your institution? Does your institution support you? Obviously, you have some support, but how does this work with the students? The openness.
Well, okay. So since COVID-19 started, I'm um, kind of um, jobless. I'm doing other teaching in high school. I was teaching in university
Yeah.
on environmental impact assessment, and when I was teaching that, I put a few slides, one or two slides about veganism, about this thing that is it possible? The question, just to make the students question: is it possible? We are learning all these tools, all these scientific tools, but is it possible to find desired uh, sustainable solution by using all this? Is it feasible? And I was living at that. So that was the last kind of slide. I was uh, living with that question. It was an open question, and just to make students uh, answer themselves, because I couldn't say that you can't find, because that's opposing the whole purpose of the university. That is teaching you tools to solve problems. And
Solve.
if I say that you can't solve these problems by using science, then I will be in big trouble in
Oh,
the
yeah.
yeah. So
Not very
I didn't.
popular. Not very popular.
Yeah, not popular at all.
No.
No, I'm not after being popular. I am always being after right, correct.
Yeah.
Informing and just informing in the right direction. So that's all. So life is about that. For me, I don't.
Beautiful.
What will I get if I get paid salary? What will I do with that? You know,
So tell me,
I have. Yeah.
where do you want to well, what is your underlying message? Let's go there. What's your underlying message, and what do you want to communicate today with our discussion to everyone that's going to see this? And let's go into this a little more.
Okay. So I already, I think, made it clear that I not like some people tell me that in the comments, YouTube comments, they tell me that I'm anti-science. That guy that is like anarcho primitivist guy who just doesn't like
Wow.
science or technology much, and he's crazy, kind of like I get such comments that just if you
Yes.
hate science and technology, go live in the wild. They, some people approach like that. Um, the message that I want to communicate
Absolutely.
is that there is no solution that humanity can plan and implement and prevent this mass extinction if they want to use technology. If they want to come up with novel solutions and uh, they expect these novel solutions to solve their problems, then they are believing in a religion, that this is a false belief. I want them to see this, that this is uh, not the right path to take if you want humanity to have a future. And why is that? And actually, this is explained in my lectures, and also if you see a documentary,
Mm-hmm.
The Connection 2021
Yep.
on YouTube. I have tried to explain it as clear as possible, and you see why these novel solutions lead to more problems. And actually, I call civilization an accumulation of problems.
An accumulation
Accu-
of problems.
It is because it is accumulation of false solutions to problems that those false solutions created. So it is an accumulation of problems.
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that it is an arrogance of humanity. It is like humanity came and said we can improve nature, and how we do it, we will build a technological civilization to improve nature. That's all it is. When you say it is technological civilization, this is the arrogance of man to humans, saying
Absolutely.
we will build a better thing. And environmental engineering. I had a PhD in environmental engineering, and I have always had problem with, even when I started studying it, I had problem with environmental engineering, the term environmental engineering, because you see, environmental engineering kind of implies that you are trying to engineer environment. Not exactly, because you are trying to find a middle way between the nature, between the natural balance, and between the technology. But think about it: that the technology, the corporations, the technological setup that you are um, imagining and kind of putting together in the real world, with resources, and you're you're taking that from nature. And when you um, when you say environmental engineering, you mean you mean um, engineering nature.
Yes.
How can you engineer nature? Because it is kind of a paradox. You are part of nature. How can you engineer the whole thing, or at least the thing that you belong? Like you have technology,
Yes.
okay? So that was nature. You cut the forest. You extracted resources. That was nature, and you are trying to engineer that part to fit the other part. So you are trying to engineer the degraded nature that you degraded to fit the untouched, pristine nature. That's when I realized the Zen part comes in.
Okay.
Zen philosophy comes in, and that's when I realized, okay, this has something to do with. And I listened to Alan Watts, and
Oh,
Alan Watts,
yes.
he,
Yes. You
and
became enlightened.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I with logic, because before I was listening, it was kind of making sense, but it wasn't practical. Okay, we are one, and but I am sentient, I'm conscious, I am feeling this kind of way, and this is not useful. This Zen philosophy is not useful because I am trying to live my life. I'm committed to myself still. My studies. I have to work, have some salary. You know, but when I realized this, that without incorporating this big picture into the, this environmental thing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, vision, it is missing the big picture. So it is meaningless. In the long term, it is it doesn't add up to anything. It adds up to zero if we just keep up without a big picture. And everything from beginning from the definition of evolution to what we teach in universities to what we do every day in careers and chasing money, and all these things are
Did it.
actually just local solutions in quotation marks.
Sure.
So they're not solutions, but they're local, And this is not a big picture. And I just realized at that moment that without a big picture, everything is wrong. I just realized this a year ago or something. I was still believing in science, that I was saying, if we do it right, why not? I mean, I was still, I couldn't see the big picture. But when I realized the big picture, I said, okay, that's it. And I try to explain this in my YouTube channel. Yeah.
So what's the big picture?
The big picture is that we don't actually matter that much, whatever we feel, and we are just um, pre planned. Like um, the big picture is just we are just cameras watching. Like we are just watch when you live your life, you are just watching a movie. I don't think that I will change anything in the big picture because it can't be changed. This is the nature is so complex and huge, and I can't change it in a way because I am not that intelligent and I don't have the capacity to plan everything to change in the direction that I want as a human, who wants humanity to live, to go on in the future, a few thousand more years and million years maybe, and that's why just give up the arrogance. Don't be so arrogant. Like enjoy it. So that's the
Tough
new thing.
message in a world of arrogance
What is it?
and
Like
war.
human nature, we can be anything. But I believe that when you observe tribes, untouched, uncontacted tribes, they usually they refuse technology because they they might say okay, this is like god level stuff, but they are happy with what they have usually, and um, and I'm even against judging the human nature by observing tribes, just alone tribes, uncontacted tribes, because they are um, just isolated cases living in a huge technological world. So, it, well, they can be representative, kind of, but it's much better than much telling much more about the human nature than us, who change a lot. But I approach with caution whenever they show as an example an uncontacted tribe. I'm not an expert on this issue at all, but I think I know more than most people about. I think those tribes, humanity has that's nature of humanity. I think when you gain some higher intelligence than other animals, let's say, humanity, that's natural thing for humans, that they have a higher intelligence in imaginative thinking, because intelligence might differ. Humans have kind of unique intelligence that they can come up with theories more efficient, like imaginative part. They can imagine different theories of how the world works. So with the indigenous, um, they they seem to have an understanding of the big picture of where they're living, and if they do something, how it will affect them back. And I don't know how they gained this, but probably they gained this with experience, and this culture of theirs just formed by these thousands of years of experience, because they didn't have such a concept that we need to invent something every few years. They just come up with new stuff every now and then. Just uh, you they didn't force people to come up with new stuff, so their culture didn't change that fast. So they could keep track of what works and what doesn't. If you change something so fast, you can't experiment on that if it works or not, right? So they changed it in a way that thousands of years, and they said this kind of works. So their experiments were more correct, in a sense, that more representative of truth, because it took longer time for them to experiment. So
Okay.
that's more representative, because if you can make something work a few thousand years, it is better than making it work a few decades or centuries. So that's I think what's the difference between their culture and our culture. So they still, as a human, they still came up with new things, novel things, such as fire. About 1 million years ago, maybe around 1 million, let's say, um, we came up with fire, and that's very novel. No other animal uses fire.
Oh.
And that's something that tells you that something will be interesting about the humanity's nature in future.
Can
Like
I
when
stop you for one sec? Where, when you've looked at the research and talked, reviewed these different kinds of cultures, where are they? What cultures?
well, I looked at Amazonian tribes, and I looked at Indian tribes,
Excellent.
and but as I said, I didn't really look to, like, I'm not an expert on this. I'm just telling what I think and in general picture, and some people can go and research for themselves and
Yes.
listen to other anthropologists. But I have my own unique idea about this, that um, the, um, you know it, during evolution, um, let's say evolution of teeth, of evolution of other things, they come up independently many times. They might come up, and that you might say, okay, this is interesting, but you look at the long term, and they kind of survive. But think about fire, and this is very unique. It just came up one time in our species, so it is very marginal. It is a very marginal evolution. And if we were living in those times, if we were aliens observing the Earth in those times, that they were seeing apes with fires, they would say, wow, they did something very unique, and this is very novel solution to whatever they were living, whatever they had as such a problem. We don't know, cooking or something, but
Wow.
this is very unique. And I explained that when you have a unique novel solution, you are taking a huge risk, and that's what we need to understand, that even if aliens were observing, that kind of ape with fire in his hand, they would just, if they were clever enough, if they knew kind of things that we knew now, Zen and the big picture, whatever, they would just conclude that these apes would have difficult time in the future because they are taking a huge risk with those fires in their hand. And so that's why uh, I don't just focus on tribes today living, because they are humans as well. Our problem didn't start when we had, you know, uh, gunpowder or other kind of inventions. Our problem started, I think, or they say domestication, maybe agriculture, right? But they might go well much deeper in our species, even before the discovery of fire. So that's why I believe maybe we are the problem, kind of, because
Well,
everything that comes with us. All the problems that we say they are problems rooted in us, our kind of mentality, as we say, nature, to come up with novel stuff without caring about the big picture. I don't criticize humans as because we are nature. We are just part of nature, and nature always takes risks. For example, when the first algae started producing oxygen, there was a mass extinction due to that kind of novel solution. That was a novelty for them. It was blue algae, the sea, and we blame them for coming up with such a novel thing, producing oxygen and changing the whole atmosphere from CO2 to oxygen. Like that's a novel thing, but they took the risk, and we are taking the risk. But here's the thing: you can't take the risk and expect to live long, like exist too long, because if you take the risk, if you change, especially today that we are not microorganisms, we are um, microorganisms. We have too much cells, so we can't change that quickly as a bacteria or microbe. So we change much more slowly. We change slower than those uh, organisms that caused those mass extinctions. So when we take the risk, our risk is much bigger than the risk that they took. Because when we change the world, we will not be able to adapt. When we apply technology and change this world, we will not be, probably, we will, because it's such a huge risk that we are taking, we will not be able to adapt to that. So algae took the risk, they survived, they still exist, but we took the risk. Um, I think we are going away with all the big fauna. You know?
We are going away. We're going away.
Uh-huh. So I don't mention about 6 months extinction to my students actually.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Because
can't.
it's not so off topic. Like I should, but yeah, I should. They should know it already. But I mean, I should I, if I want to be like, there is, this is black and white. If I will tell them that what they are doing is not working, I should just tell them, just give up, stop this whole thing. This is just a game that you are playing to gain hierarchy, gain more money, whatever. Just give up this, stop doing this, and just, which is I think the correct thing to do.
But
But it is like, then how can I, like,
you
how can
can't.
I live without that job? If I tell everybody, universities are churches, and this whole thing is religion, and you should just stop coming up with novel stuff because it is just causing more problems. How can I
How can you?
incorporate that into my life and still exist? In the midst of six months extinction, they act as everything is normal. But here's the thing, and another thing is that they call people crazy if they have different ideas. This is not who a crazy person is. If someone has different ideas, if let's say majority of people had my kind of vision, which is I think correct vision, they won't call me crazy. They will call those people who follow the technological cult, I think it's cult, religion, they will call them crazy. They will say, "You don't you see that this causes a 6 month extinction, and don't you see that there is a logic that unintended consequence, it causes unintended consequences, and that's why we shouldn't follow this kind of cult. Please, just So it's all subjective. That the crazy
Sure.
people, they're not actually
The
in the
word
most
crazy is totally subjective in this
uh-huh.
arena.
Yes, in
Absolutely.
the situation.
In this
Yeah.
arena. Now, then that leads me to ask you, do you have experience with Derek Jensen and his new book Bright Green
Uh,
Lies? And
yeah. I follow him, I listen to him, and I like everything he says except about veganism, about consumption of animal products and such things.
well, yeah, you're
But
a vegan and I'm working on it.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, I
So
have been, and it's not an easy thing to do when you're in the culture that I am. I live in a farming community, and it
yeah,
is very animal centric.
you do your best. I do my best. My culture is technology centric, so I do my best. I'm still using technology, but
Well,
as
here
an
we are. We're using
yeah.
technology, and we're not going to get
So
away from it.
no, but you can get away with using without it. You know, if you don't use animal products or something, you will be fine. Look at me. I'm almost
Yes,
2 years vegan. I'm very fine.
that's beautiful.
Actually, I'm much better, much healthier, um, feeling energetic. I can beat you running
Oh, and anybody
marathon.
can beat me in
Anybody
running.
who is we went to Halifax State.
And you know, the technology, no matter what, Semi, is going to happen whether you like it or I like it, and especially because of your field, we cannot stop the techno utopians. We cannot stop because capitalism and our economic systems are just that way now. We are the human species has gone so far into this, like you're explaining, the technological uh, era, and this is it. This is the last era.
Yeah, yeah. Each era that after each collapse, they gave, for example, that those civilization collapse and we built another one. But with each one, the collapse is getting bigger. They don't
Yes.
mention about that. So it's going up exponentially. So when this will collapse, the impact will be much bigger than the previous one. So if this one will not collapse, if you keep insisting on using technology, if there will be another collapse in 1,000 years, whatever time frame, you will have an exponentially bigger collapse that will eventually cause you to go extinct because you are the one insisting on this technology. If you could just give up that technology, uh, you will, as humanity, your culture will be different, but your mindset will be different. But as humanity, you will still experience being human and without any problems. But people are like this because technology affects everything. The culture and the economic system, we say, they're actually not separate. They're one thing. The many people complain about capitalism. They say if we had such kind of like communism, socialism, or I was tricked by resource-based economy because it was scientific and such kind of things. But get rid of the monetary system. Monetary system is the problem. Such kind of ideas, which made sense because if you're a local thinker, if you don't know about such co-evolution, and if you don't know about uh, seeing not unintended consequences, seeing the bigger picture, it is so easy for you to fall into those false solutions, which humanity is always doing. These local false solutions, they're falling into them, and I fell into them as well. 4 or 5 years ago, I defended that we should just use science to make the decisions because the monetary system is not good enough. Monetary system is selfish and individuals causing capitalism but now I realize that the capitalism is being selected. It co-evolved with technology, and technology selected this economic system, and technology actually selected our culture and is shaping our culture.
Yeah.
They all co-evolve together. They're not separate. You can't separate technology from capitalism and put something else instead of that. If you put something else, let's say you decided to you get rid of the monetary system and put something else into, what will you put? Nobody can come up with alternatives
Oh, there's a lot of
to
people trying.
well, they say, okay, that's utopians, and they don't know about this kind of things that we are talking about. They say Bitcoin, a Bitcoin being hacked. They said Bitcoin can't be hacked, so we will, to prevent the Murphy's law, what can go wrong will go wrong. To prevent that, they said we will propose there is such thing as Bitcoin, and this will form the highest form of democracy, which is democracy is another kind of thing that has been evolved with technology and the novel, novel false solution, and and they just said, okay, we will have such kinds of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and if you look at it, they have been hacked and billions of dollars have been stolen from that. So it is not working as well. It is not possible to find alternatives to nature, and people are not getting that idea that nature has been evolved over billions of years, and if you come up in your, let's say, 80 years of experience with some kind of reading books or whatever, it is with this kind of local brain, so limited, you try to come up with some kind of bigger vision, and you try to engineer nature with engineer everything around you. You will fail. It
And
will
we
not
are.
work. Whatever you name it Bitcoin or crypto, whatever impressive names you put on it, it will not work. And I'm sorry to tell this, but there is no solutions. If you are as humanity, the only solution is to drop your arrogance, drop your ego, and to see that
Throw
to
it out
let
the door.
nature, yeah, to
Yeah.
let nature find its way, to let nature, if you want to exist,
And
exist.
so
If you,
do you think that with the natural world, this Anthropocene, this mass extinction, is nature taking its course, and the more we fight it as humans with technology, the worse it's actually the outcome is going to be?
exactly, because it started with humans fighting nature. The Anthropocene started with humans fighting nature, and if we keep fighting with nature, it will keep growing. Yeah, so that's the logic. If people get this idea that Anthropocene started with humans fighting nature, going against nature, coming up with novel solutions, and if they can understand that, which they will not, because it's like, when there is think of a harmonious system, and you're disturbing it, and you're disturbing it locally with limited knowledge, and you disturb it, and then you disturb, and you try to fix the disturbance that you are doing, but you have so limited knowledge that you just disturb so many things in this harmonious thing. It's impossible to take it back. You just disturb one thing, and it just disturbs many things. You have so limited intelligence because you at first you disturb one thing that your intelligence was that much to disturb one thing, and then it just grows like a wave in this harmonious system, and you can't, because you are not the whole picture, you can't design the whole picture, and always the outcome will be different than what you wished, what you wanted.
And
So
that's
that's
history. History has shown us this.
yeah, and that's why it is human. The arrogance of humanity is such a phenomenon.
Yes. So if these solutions are false, and if science, or where you've been and you've discovered it's a religion,
Yeah.
where are you now with your science background, and what do you want to accomplish for the time being right now?
Okay. So first of all, science background is not my background. That's the background that they gave to me. I didn't come up with science. I didn't have these ideas. I didn't want to go in this way. They trained me to be in this way, right? So um, whoever calls himself scientist, okay, good, tell, but you are um, like, it is again arrogance. It is like you are seeing yourself, you are labeling yourself with something that they gave you, that your culture gave you, and you just, it's like a flag, like this flag race that they gave flag and they run, and so it's like a flag race. They just exchange, they give the flags to each
Yeah.
other, and they just run, they
Yeah.
run, and this flag race is local and so blind that it is wrong for anybody to name themselves by any name. If you name yourself as a scientist,
Mm-hmm.
then you are actually not a scientist. You are not questioning the big picture. You are not questioning anything. You're just doing what you have been told. You are just taking the flag and you're running. So if you so I'm against naming people as scientists or artists or whatever. We are everything. Everybody is like, but well, if they name people as scientists when they belong to an institution,
Mm-hmm.
and if they use technology, some kind of tools, microscope or whatever, they say this is a scientist because it's like using this kind of technology to come up with models of the world and such things. But I don't believe in such distinctions, such discrete distinctions between people, that this is a scientist and this is not. That's not.
Okay. See, a lot of people in the discussion do say that every discipline in academia is almost narrow. Everybody stays in their own lane. And
Yes,
that is a deficit for
exactly.
the bigger
Because
picture.
we are, as I said, we are limited. Our brains are limited. So if you want to excel in one field, you have to be an expert in one field. And as the technology grows, more and more people will be stuck in the, the fields that are getting narrower and narrower. And that's when madness starts. That's why our society is getting madder and madder. That they as the problems grow, everybody will start tackling with, because we are limited, our brains are
Mm-hmm.
limited, and although our population is growing exponentially, due to the Earth is not, nature is not growing exponentially, we will be limited. So when the
Yes.
technology tries to grow exponentially and with exponential problems, we as humans with limited minds will be forced to tackle with growing problems, and that's then it will the madness will grow, because what is madness? When you um, try to focus on um, ever narrowing um, problems,
Mm-hmm.
the spectrum of problems, and you ignore the rest, that's madness. You know, ignoring the whole picture is the definition of madness, I think, for me.
Okay.
Because in natural balance, you can't ignore, if you are local thing, like let's say animals or plants or whatever, they have been evolved over billions of years. They are not ignored. Bees are not ignoring the bigger picture. Flowers are not ignoring the bigger picture. But humans, because we are changing so fast, because this big disturbance and growing of problems, and we are forced to see narrower and narrower. Even the discussions now, people have so many questions to answer. COVID-19 is real or what? Like the questions are so getting bigger, and human mind can focus on so little section of it, the ignored part will get exponentially bigger with each passing year, and that's why I say humanity will get madder and madder. They will go mad with an increasing rate each year until we have the collapse. And what will happen after that? With the collapse, we are in the collapse now,
We are in the
um,
collapse.
what will happen? I think that, of course, nobody knows if there will be a few humans will survive or something like that. But I think if we, I'm just, I am wishing really in my heart that humanity has the mechanism that I had in my mind that made me realize this. And I am saying these are humans as well, so maybe they will realize what I have realized if I tell them. So I am trusting in that kind of mechanism among humans to spread this message. Like, share this and just let these people, if I understood, everybody can understand if given enough time. So let this message spread among humans. But I am like, it is, it's a wish,
Yeah,
it's a
hope.
religion.
Like they call it hopium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is my religion. That this is. I don't know why I want to keep humanity. We haven't been good to other kind of species, or animals, or even ourselves, each other. But still, because I'm human, I can't be objective. So I still believe. I want to believe that there is such kind of mechanism that will wake up humanity as I woke up and just see what I and act according to that.
Tell me, Sammy, the words wake up and exactly what was the first, like, almost slap in the face. What was it that said, oh my gosh, my education, my everything I've believed in is false? What was that one first thing?
It might be. It was little things that my education didn't give me. So, but I suspected my education by seeing important things that have not been told or taught to me. They just ignored that kind of thing, and I said, "How can you ignore this if you're raising a child?" So that was the first thing that I realized something is wrong. Something is fishy here, that they are trying to manipulate me into a desired direction for them, because they're not telling me that this is important for me, and if education is for me, and individuals form the bigger picture, so they should tell me what is important for me, then I can decide with my own uh, judgment. So they didn't teach me many important things that I should know, and that's
It started with
this.
your education and the realization then that it was not everything you
I
would
realized,
probably. Go ahead.
yeah, I realized that they are teaching me what they want me to do. That's it. They are teaching me what they want me to be,
And who's
and
they?
the whole system, the technology that is exponentially growing. And,
And so they are the powerful people behind academia, the funders, who are they?
yeah, not just people. This is the whole phenomenon
Yeah.
of this 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 novel route that the nature is trying to open, that it is failing, that we are just realizing that it's failing, and kind of nature observing itself, we are saying, let's not do this because I want to exist still. Because, as I said, nature evolution takes risks, and it's normal, totally normal. 99% of the species went extinct, and we will be one of them probably. But we are just realizing we became so intelligent, kind of in that way, to observe what is going on, that we can say let's stop this because we are just an experiment by nature that will not work, and we want to keep existing. Or and that's why I say let's enjoy, because that's what we are. The outcome will be the outcome whatever we do, and I can hope and a mechanism among people that will get the message and change the this ship that is going to sink, that this Titanic is hitting the iceberg and
Yeah.
change. But I don't think that, like, um, yeah, it doesn't matter in the big picture actually. But I am very um, I have my own religion, let's say. Oh, believing in, like, humanity should exist. That's a religion as well.
So you think that most beliefs are religion? Would you put
Yeah,
beliefs in the
all,
religious category?
all, yeah. I mean, if you can live in a different way, then it's a religion because it's not mandatory. It's not a law of nature. It's religion. You can live in a different way, but that's the point, that you can't live in a different way because you don't have choice, because you don't actually exist
Right.
as in the ego or its consciousness. You just follow. Yeah.
Well, let me go into then. Let's segue a little bit into the veganism and the Zen
Okay.
and how this happened for you and what your beliefs are and what you would like to see, because very often on our channel I am asked, well, you don't talk about veganism and as much, and well, here we are. So
Okay.
this would be
So
a
we are
great
talking about,
segue.
yeah. So veganism is one of the things that you can do on your own, in your own privacy at your home, that will benefit all the other sentient conscious beings that also want to exist as you do, and it benefits nature. As you may know, that more than 80% of Amazon rainforest destruction right now is caused by animal agriculture to raise cows for meat that is being exported. So like soy production and directly grazing in Amazon rainforest. The meat is being exported to Europe and to USA and such, high meat consumption countries, and that's just part of, like, nature. And if I have another lecture in my YouTube channel called an efficiency argument for veganism, and if you watch it, you get all the details. I can't mention all the details right now, but it's about, like, animal livestock industry is really inefficient. And another one is that cutting throats is not good and it's not necessary. As you can see, I'm very healthy. I'm healthy as I have been, and I have, what I realized that um, if you eat whole foods, plant-based diet, and if you have, um, um, let's say, enough exercise, but it's not like 15 minutes a day, like, if you are not sedentary, like sitting on your ass. Can I say ass?
You can say ass, you can say
Okay.
whatever you want.
On your butt, but is more
Your
kind.
butt, your rear. Listen, we're we're
Okay,
uh,
so
we're we're fine.
okay, so, like, I learned when I went vegan, I learned how to eat and how to, because, in my village here, everybody is dying from cancer or heart attack, and they assume it's normal. I mean, they are 50 and 60, that they're obese and dying of heart attack, and I
Yes.
say it's not normal. No, no, you just, I mean, yeah, you have some health issues, but okay, you should go vegan anyway. So for let's mention that veganism is for animals because it's an ethical choice. It is refusing cutting throats, because you say, maybe I will be less healthy. That's not the case, but let's assume that eating animals were not good for our health. But vegans would still not eat animals and live kind of a miserable life and not kill anybody. That's the premise of veganism, that it is all about animals and
Yes.
ethics. But the thing is, because I think why veganism is aligning with the environmental movement, the environment and human ethics, is that we are meant to really be plant based. We come from apes. We,
Mm-hmm.
we are we are like monkeys.
Yeah.
So
Plant
so
based.
we are, yeah. So if you eat more and more plant based, you get healthier, and scientifically proven. It prevents heart disease. It can even reverse heart disease if you're you know the most shocking thing that I have learned about health issues in veganism was that if you have heart issues, heart disease, if you go on statins to lower your cholesterol, the success rate is 2%. If you have kind of um, what was the other thing? It was so statin drugs just lowers your death rate
Mm-hmm.
uh, 2% in, I think, was 5 or 10 years range.
Wow.
So it is not effective at all. It doesn't work. It's not about stents that they put in your veins,
Yeah.
to widen up your blocked arteries. It doesn't work as well. The success rate is 1 or 2% if you really look at the science. And I encourage people to look at it. It doesn't
Okay.
work. Doesn't stents don't work. So
Mm.
that's when it comes. And plant based works 98%. It reverses your heart disease. So if you are a heart disease patient, go plant based because nothing else will work for you. That's the lesson, that if you follow science, you really look at into it.
So, in this
So
sense, science is telling us the message. The actual
yes,
hard research on health is giving us the message. So, science has a place, even if it is a narrow lane, it is telling us we
it
should be
is.
doing something a lot different.
Yeah, it if science that's the case. If science is telling us something about the natural balance, how we were before, that's the only valuable thing
Okay.
that it can bring. Novel things, no. If science is being used to bring novel technologies, to bring something novel that wasn't existing before, this is not good. But if it is telling us, giving clues how we were before, and
Mm.
get close to the natural balance, then only then we can use. That's a good point. So
Ah,
that's the only time that we can use science. That
okay.
if people will have any message from this interview, that it is that stop um, worshipping technology, stop expecting technology to solve novel solutions, novel technologies that were never existed before the technology, let's say. That stop this kind of cultish thinking because it will never work. And um, let's spread this message because this is very unpopular. People don't like to talk about it. It's
Right.
difficult to communicate. People just label you immediately by saying you're crazy or such things because it's so opposite to where we are going.
Sure.
Uh,
We're
yeah.
programmed.
So that yeah. So let's be a virus in this destructive program. Let's say.
Let's be a virus. Oh,
Okay. So whatever the case is, that nature is trying to tell us that the it will throw us more and more problems as the time progresses.
okay.
That's what it's saying. It doesn't matter if or
Okay.
it comes from a laboratory or whatever. That's not the case. That's not the big picture that we should see and summarize. The summary is that it will keep throwing us whatever way it can. It can come from a laboratory or a natural setting, that because we are eating animals, it's not that natural, but So because we have deviated in a ways to build a laboratory or to eat meat that's frequently, it will throw us more and more problems in the ways of pandemics, in the ways of climate change, in the ways of many, many different things that we never can even imagine. And until we either learn to give up technology, which I think will never happen,
No, it will
or
never happen.
until we go extinct, it will throw us problems. So that it can correct itself, this species that is causing this 6 months extinction, because nature doesn't like 6 months extinction, mass extinction. It just takes risk. It says this didn't work, get rid of it,
Yep.
find a new.
How about
Exactly.
fear? Do you feel that that fear is a big underlying premise here for the humanity? Fear of the unknown or fear of change?
We will be more and more guided by fear, I think. We will be, because the problems will grow. If you understand the premise of this growing problems, why like if you understand the problems will grow and will cause collapse. If you when you are approaching the collapse, of course, naturally, the fears will grow because you will face bigger and bigger problems that you can't solve, and that's why you will go mad. The people who can still engage in this system will be the maddest ones, who will still have some kind of hope,
Yeah.
who can still live in an illusion that this is a good thing to participate in, and then that's why people will be more and more mad and more um, fearful, and the ones who are the realistic ones will be more and more depressed and more fearful.
Depressed collapsitarians. I'm sure you've heard
Yeah.
that term. Yes, absolutely. If you're in, you're here with me. You've heard the term. Well, this has been really interesting, and I think we could go on and on. There's so much to unpack here, so much. But for now, I would love to hear what you would like to close with, and your major message here. And one step at a time, huh?
Okay, so humanity, I will give message to humanity right now, right? So please give up the religion of technology. It's not working for you. You are in the midst of 6 months extinction, and it, while you still keep believing, I know it is kind of human nature to believe in religions and to be so naive, so local thinker, but please just wake up and watch this documentary, The Connection 2021, and really, with open mind, question the message, criticize, drop a comment, tell me, if you have criticism, tell me and I will answer you.
So I want to thank you so very much for being with me, Sandy Shallis, on Environmental Coffee House.
I thank you as well for covering such topics.
Thank you.
Nobody else, not many people
Well,
dare.
we do. Peace out.
Peace.